Happy weekend! Welcome to I Am Woke! I am your host, Stormy Calder. Yo, I bring the storm wherever we go. This healing vortex can be perceived as a storm or as a healing tornado. Enjoy it. So this is what we're going to talk about, y'all. It is shadow integration. Shadow play. I'm so excited to talk about this because I have had so many spiritual leaders, teachers, practitioners that I've worked with in the past and looked up to, etc., that are like, don't play with shadow. That is bad. It is wrong. If anything comes up that is considered shadow play, which I will go into, then you're doing it wrong. And God knows my shadow is very stubborn in the way of like, my higher self likes to express shadow as much as it likes to express light. And whenever I have tried to stranglehold that shadow and keep it pinned down and locked down, like I'll tell you, that shadow comes out in a number of ways that I don't appreciate. So welcome to the season of shadow integration. I'm happy to be it, live it, show it. On that, we'll go into more details here. So the switch from Emelina to Stormy, my guides transparently made very, very clear to me. It is my shadow integration. It is the archetype that has been necessary of the element of storm to create such a healing vortex that everything is rearranged in front of my energy and with my energy to be the original source coding. Without the masks, without the matrix, without the stripping, without the you know what they're showing me? The way our energy is being manipulated, even at the soul level right now, is it's almost like an AI. It's like a fake facade to fit into the system, to fit into the matrix. Like anything that's less than perfect is considered a threat. And that perfection is whatever's crafted for the system energetically. The system says shadow needs to look a certain way in order to be accepted. The system says your light needs to look a certain way. Now, I know a lot of you know this about me, but for those of you that are new, I am a code breaker. I am a system breaker. My breath, my life denies the matrix its control. So I get psychic attacked on the daily. I'm actually so excited moving forward. Like the level of attacks I got this week, I was like, yeah. They're feeding me at this point. I'm like, yeah. Keep attacking me, dark forces. Like you think I don't got you? I got you. Which I have some things to say about today. I need to set this up though, because my arm is getting tired. Okay, so what do I want to say first? What's up? Okay, so here's the first thing on the docket is that I have a divine protection shamanic ceremony on Sunday, tomorrow at 11 a.m., just in case there's a little confusion about timing. It's at 11 Pacific time. If you want to join in on that, I left a link in the description below. There's a code at checkout you can use that is healing. It's going to be a 3 to 4 hour mini course activation on shadow integration, on clearing your sacral chakra completely of all lower level entity types, abuse, shitty toxic relationships. Even if you had something happen in childhood, or even last week, you know what? It creates ties. It creates soul bonds, soul ties in your energetic body that weigh on you, that they pull on your energy in a way that you might not normally express yourself in a certain way. And because of these toxicities that kind of live in the background, in the subconscious, in the darkness of your mind and of your energy, you'll end up just acting a certain way because that's what the soul tie is dictating of you, that shadow archetype, that toxic pattern, that abuse pattern. Anyway, generally it's less than helpful. So I'm going to be doing a ceremony to do black magic removal. We're going to reverse any hexes, generational curses, bloodline curses, anything that got in the way of you or your ancestors just being yourself, where other people tried to manipulate or control them. These are the effects of toxic abuse patterns, whether it's in your life or in the past. Generally, it's all of the above, right? Like, being human, God knows, is not easy. If there's any level of narcissism, either in your family or you've been affected by narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, again, this is like at least 10% of the population. Y'all have been involved in this in one way or another. Toxic abuse patterns, emotional abuse patterns, even as simple as being conformed into a version of you that would thrive in society. What's coming to mind is like, let's say you were hyper creative. I forgot to turn my notifications off. Maybe you wanted to be a musician or you wanted to be an artist and you were forced, like your family coerced you into being an accountant. That creates a lot of trauma as far as self-expression goes. And that stuff needs to be cleared out too. That could be a generational pattern or a generational curse. There are so many different things here. Where do I want to go? So I'm going to be covering black magic removal, dissolving generational curses, hexes, and dark soul contracts. If you missed the dark soul contract video, that's the last video I shot on my YouTube. We're going to be eliminating and removing destiny swap contracts and attempts. They happen more than I would care to admit. This is where people try to wear your energy and steal your manifestations. When we're manifesting, we're sending our power in the quantum to what it is that we're manifesting. And if we're not protecting that manifestation, and if we share those things with the wrong people, etc., other people in our environments can wear or take that manifestation. That's a destiny swap. And those are things that we need to be very attentive to energetically. The higher self needs to be very on top of. Anyway, I'm going to be helping you move through that in this ceremony as well. This is about dissolving dark soul contracts. We're going to be doing a deep, deep cord cutting and sacral chakra clearing and recoding. Cutting ties to exes. No offense, exes, but you're exes for a reason. We need you out of our energy. False twin flames, dark soul ties, toxic relationships, abusers. For those of you that don't know, when you have an abuser in your life, they energetically attach to you like a romantic partner, like an ex. So there is a level of energetically claiming that as an ex, whether it's a sexual trauma or another sort of emotional trauma. When we avoid claiming the relationship as being in totality, like I claim this as an ex, which I've done with all of my sexual abuse in the past. If you don't do it, it leaves it open still, because in order for someone to abuse you, they have to claim that level of depth of intimacy in a relationship. So anyway, we clear that. So I'm going to be clearing all of that. If you're interested, the code at checkout is healing. Again, the link is in the description below. It's at immelina.com/protection. I'm very, very excited to do this ceremony with you guys. And with that, I'm just going to kind of like jump into some themes that have been popping up and some things that have been going on for me around this ceremony. So I had an insane amount of dreams last night. I don't typically dream. I'm very astral. So my dreams are lucid, like I'm controlling things. And last night I had the deepest, darkest, most fantastical dream. I never dream like this. Like there was literally a head that was 6 inches tall with these tiny little feet in this dream that I was talking to, and the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen. I was just like, I don't know, I don't remember the rest of it, but there were so many wild creatures in this dream. And I realized, and this is going to go into our themes for this video, is like, I have done such a level of shadow integration that I am no longer grotesquely mortified by shadow because of the level of abuse that I had encountered in my childhood. Mostly before I was 23. I had a complete, and any level of like grotesque anything would throw me into a trauma PTSD cycle. So like I couldn't watch scary movies. I couldn't watch even action movies. I generally speaking, like the news like freaks me out a lot. Like there are a lot of things, like I'll be in conversation, like I was in conversation with a friend a few weeks ago and he started talking about some like really gory things in a movie because he's a screenwriter. And he was talking to someone else in front of me and I was like, hey, I was like, you know, I can't handle that. And he's like, oh, right. Like literally I am so light because of the level of PTSD that I get around very triggering shadow topics. So this dream for myself last night, I was like, oh my God, I'm no longer triggered because the integration was me offering the ceremony for you guys. It's me offering the protection. Like no weapon against me, like formed against me shall prosper. Like I just keep saying that on repeat. It's just like, I'm thrilled to be in a position where I can help other people clear and protect their own energy from very, very dark forces. And these mother effing forces have been approaching my energy. You know, this is, I'll get into this, how this is relevant for you guys too, but I'm thrilled because at this point, darkness, evil, can't just sideswipe me. Like, I've reached a level where it has to be announced. It's like announcing yourself to a queen or a king. Like evil has to announce itself to me before it comes into battle with me. And that's not because like I'm so special, but I am. That's because the light forces that work with me have said to evil, if you don't announce yourself, whatever happens to you is no longer our responsibility. That's how intense the forces that work with me are. So now, this week, evil has announced itself on a number of occasions, probably 3 or 4 times, through my energetic field. And they were like, we're going to battle you, this is what we're going to do. And I said, oh, that's nice, this is what I'm going to do in response. And then evil was like, I'm out. And I'm like, of course you are. Because I carry sticks. Energetically, I'm like, I will not hold back. What does that do for you guys? Well, you know, when I'm helping you clear your energy in a ceremony, that's what I'm doing. Like, nothing's going to get past me and my guidance team. Because I'm going to swat it away with a fucking stick. I'm going to go, come a little closer. Like, a lot of my shadow energy is, they're showing me, is actually being pulled from the Italian lineage. Italians aren't just sweet. You know, the mafia is known as the mafia. I've got a lot of intense shadow energy coming from that side of the family. Anyway, the card I pulled before I jump on stream was happiness and destiny. So when we do this clearing work, when we do shadow integration, you're opening up for your destiny contracts. You're opening up for your actual, true, authentic soul contracts. Like, what are you here to do in this life? If you don't integrate your shadow and you just chase the light, it's an addiction. Like, you have to do both. You can't get out of doing both. Like, if you just chase light and you pretend the shadow doesn't exist, like, you may as well be, I mean, it's, I don't want to demean anyone. Like, do what you need to do with where you are in your spiritual journey. But it is an addiction cycle. Like, it may as well be cocaine. It's like, you're just chasing a high, and light gives a really beautiful high. Now, shadow integration takes a lot of courage. What does that look like? It looks like staring your demons in the face and having the courage to do what you need to do, what feels right at your soul level, even though there might be consequences. Like for me, because of my background, the shadow integration has been YouTube, you guys. Like, me speaking openly about things I've been through and openly about my opinions is such a level of shadow integration, is such a, like, if you had any idea how many people truly hate me and have wanted me to shut up so that they don't get exposed through my career. That level of black magic, the amount of black magic that has been done on me, that I have become a professional black magic remover and return to sender pro. You know what they're saying to me right now? My higher self is going, I'm rubber, you're glue. I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. So careful what you say, B. Okay. Okay, so let me jump into my little themes here on shadow integration. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is desensitizing shadow triggers. So the thing that gives evil shadowy intention, what else would I call it? It really is evil. And for those of you that think evil's not real, it is very, very real. It is very, very real. I've heard a lot of spiritual communities be like, evil is not real. It's all, we're all one, we're all bliss. Like, yes, we're all one. Yes, we're all bliss. And evil's very real. And if you don't like manage the hand-to-hand combat on the ground as a human, like, evil will affect you. And you could, you know, if you think about us like game pieces, like on the Matrix, like we're playing a game or a simulation, like you don't want to get a game over. Like, don't say evil's not real. It is. It's just not more powerful than you. So it's like, a lot of what's been working through my energy field, which I think is a beautiful amalgamation of Halloween and Scorpio season, and also for you guys, is this work is about desensitizing the shadow triggers. If your shadow is easily triggered, if it's very sensitive, which is how the shadow kind of works. So I'm going to go about this in a very roundabout way. I don't know how linear this is going to be for me, but how does the shadow express itself? I just want to talk about it a little bit. For me, I can tell that my shadow is active and agitated. They're showing me the nervous system. There's the nervous system in the body. Then there's the spiritual nervous system. And the spiritual nervous system can get heightened in shadow or heightened in light. The spiritual nervous system heightened in shadow, this is how it appears to me, which is how I know that shadow is in or around me, or it needs to be softened, loved, integrated, and desensitized. Not disintegrated. That word's coming forward, but it's like, it's not about disintegrating the shadow. It's about desensitizing the triggers so that you then have access to the power of the shadow without the automatic heebie-jeebies, okay? So in case this is valuable for you guys, how do I know when my shadow is activated and needs softening? It's activated right now, but it doesn't need softening. This is I'm in my healthy integrated shadow. When it needs to be softened, it needs to be matured, it needs to be loved, you need to do some shadow work. This is how it looks. I will see texture patterns in my energy that will all of a sudden come forward. They are these organic decomposition textures. So it'll look like, oh my God, there's a name for this phobia, but I can't remember what it is. Like the circular patterns, but they're not perfect circles. Like I don't know, they'll come up in like a texture like that, or like I'm seeing on my plants, and this isn't bothering me right now, but if my shadow is not integrated and is trying to get my attention, this will bother me. Look, the spots on my pothos plants will bother me, or like insects, like textures. Even this morning, I was texting a friend, and as I was texting her, I saw a spider on my windowsill, and the spider didn't bother me. That, like, my shadow is integrated. When my shadow is not integrated and trying to get my attention, that spider would make my skin crawl. The sensation of a shadow that needs help and needs love and needs to be desensitized feels like the hairs on the back of your neck standing on end. It is like a visceral sensation that's like, it's a really heightened, stimulated response that we could also call fear, but that's almost like a little too simple. Like I'm trying to spell it out. It's the nervous system's way of perceiving a moment before great harm could be caused, and it might not be that there's actually great harm. It might just be that you have a very sensitive shadow that needs to be loved into submission. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Now, let me think. I don't have a structure for this. I'm just going to loosely talk about it. How do I love my shadow into submission? I give it runway, you guys. Like, I listen to AC/DC. Like, I just, like... I'm also going to touch on this too, because maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, I was starting a really big shift in my process, working out and everything, and I was equally highly spiritual, but you know, I was listening to Highway to Hell this morning by AC/DC, and I literally was like, it's one of my favorite songs, and I remember I was like, oh my God, I used to listen to this and I would be scared because I loved it. Like literally internally, and I never described this to anyone, but internally I was like, I love it. I love this song. But I'd be like, oh, am I attracting, I mean, the song is about Highway to Hell. Like, am I attracting that toxicity into my life? And it would make me like feel conflicted because I was doing so much forward light work. And I didn't want to attract that stuff. What I hadn't realized is that I was on a highway to hell. I've been in a very, very long dark night of the soul. And my shadow energy has been trying to like weave in parts of things that need to be accepted within me. And one of them loves AC/DC. Like, it literally just works it out of my system. It gives me access to my shadow power. And now that I think, gosh, we have to go here. The big elements of my shadow integration started before I left my last relationship. I was much heavier, like 50 pounds heavier than I am now, ish. Maybe not that much. And the way that I started to shift my energy was I was listening to rock music on repeat, like, like it's like all I listen to when I work out. Because rock music activates the shadow power. It activates that like primal power in your body, or at least for me, but I would say also generally speaking. And I would harness that power to go on my runs, to do my workouts, to say what needed to be said to people, even though I'd be freaked out and scared. And that's like how I started doing my shadow integration and desensitizing my shadow. Now, I don't know where I'm going with this exactly, but what I will say is this morning, just listening to Highway to Hell, I was like, there is nothing wrong with any of this. I just had to work out my fear that was implanted in me when I was young, that I could possibly attract any negative experiences. Like this fear, and this is what happens with toxicity, like when you grow up with authoritative masculine figures that will hurt you if you speak out loud, like, which a lot of the planet of women encounter, right? But it's like, I like this intense fear in my shadow that had my hair standing on end my whole life. Was like, if I say the wrong thing, or if I think the wrong thing, I'm going to attract abuse. And it's going to be my fault. Whatever happens to me is my fault. Like, that was like the fear. So I was afraid to, I don't know, explore, acknowledge, see, feel anything that was less than perfect light. And I think a lot of people in light work are like this because they are suffering from heavy childhood traumas. Take what you love, leave the rest, obviously, as always with my streams. But it's like, wow, so how did I desensitize? I really feel like it's just cleared. It's like, how did I desensitize that extreme fear? Well, I've been doing YouTube for a long time, right? I've been speaking out for a long time, just speaking my mind, and that's been really great. That's one. And then two, acknowledging the deep shadow aspect of myself was like, I want to do a clearing for the collective. I want to remove all the black magic because I know what it is. I know how to target it. Most people encounter it. I don't know anyone that hasn't suffered from any level of black magic. People whip it around like it's their fucking job on this planet, like pretty much anyone, anywhere. And if you're psychic like me, I can catch them in the waves. I can see it on people. Like, people that I meet, that like somebody just recently, I was looking at them and I was like, you sound sweet, but there's something very, very wrong with you. I can see that. Like, I can feel the energy frequency because I'm so fucking loving that I was like, for me to have an intense reaction of dislike, like I don't like you and I don't know why, it means you are sending me a lot of hateful energy, and then masking it with a smile. That's like psychopathic or borderline behavior, and no offense to anyone that self-identifies. But it's like, it's like, I don't know, it's becoming more and more clear what is me, what is not, desensitizing the shadow triggers, allowing myself to exist as I am. And as I claimed the right, and I do feel like it is a right of mine to do black magic removal work on behalf of the collective. Like, I did an exorcism with a client this week, a full-blown exorcism. And as I was walking through it, had so much faith and trust in my level of protection. I was like, there is no way that entity is going to attach to me. What I am doing is a service of allowing that entity to be released out of that human's body, out of that human's energy field. And there were other ancestors that came forward with this person that were like fighting my energy because they didn't want me to have that person release it. And I was literally like, anyone that works with me, you guys should be thrilled at the level of heavy boundaries I have within my own energetic power. I literally looked at these entity types. I said, get the fuck out. I said, you don't have a say in this. This person is suffering because of things that you are doing and because of this possession over this person, over their inner child. And this needs to fucking go. And I'm not allowing you to hang out with it. I'm not allowing you to stranglehold them because I have love in my heart and not hatred. Get out. And then I did an entire exorcism. It's crazy. It's crazy. So that's what I'm doing with you guys on Sunday. I'm just like, she's here for it. What else do I want to say? Acceptance of shadow. Shadow is not bad. And a shadow that's not integrated is highly destructive, mean, hateful, vengeful, jealous, envious, and is likely doing some level of black magic, cursing and hexing people around them. This is your typical, like, I don't know, what is a not integrated shadow? Any level of personality disorder is a shadow that's not integrated. You guys will know as I keep going, as I talk about this stuff, I really do want to talk about psychopaths and sociopaths and narcissists. I find them fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Completely predictable. They are so fucking boring. People think they're like, oh my God, they're so evil, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, actually, they're all just really boring. They play the same protocol. They're selfish AF. They actually can't see farther than their own freaking nose, because if they could, they'd realize that those actions that they take to hurt others hurt them immediately through the thought, even. Like, there is a, they're showing me a cannon when the cannonball is shot out, there's an explosion behind. Like, for any level of these personality disorders, it's like when they send that harm or that intent to another human, there's an explosion within themselves. They severely hurt themselves in the process. Like, the whole idea that you could just escape harm or harm someone without consequence is, what's the word? Delusional. It's delusional. I feel so light. I'm like, I can handle shadow. I could handle shadow before, but now I really have no fear. And I've been fearless since I was much younger. Like, that's part of my soul, is that I have a fearless soul. And now it's just like really getting an edge. I'm like, no, I really do have no fear. Like, very little. Constantly working on it. Okay, so accepting the shadow. And then I wanted to also talk about the shadow as a higher self-expression. So the shadow is a higher self-expression. The shadow is the part of your higher self that is learning unconscious power. The higher self, your higher power, will not just teach you through light. It will not just teach you through good. You can't just like good your way through this life. We are an eternal yin-yang symbol of the soul, at the soul level. There is both darkness and light. There's both consciousness and unconscious and shadow. And they're constantly blending together. And in the shadow, there's a little dot of light, and in the light, there's a little dot of shadow. We're always carrying those energies, whether they are integrating within the self or whether you have occupied either just the shadow state or just the light state, and then you're interacting with the world as the opposite. Regardless, we're constantly working through these themes of temperance, of balance, of integration, of alchemy. And what I think is interesting is that there's so much pushback in mass, spiritually, as far as like, people think that the higher self just is giving you like codes for light. Like, no, the higher self is also doing shadow play. The higher self wants you to understand. I'm like, how can I find another way to describe this? Shadow play or abuse patterns, shadow play or addiction patterns. Like, could you do more destructive patterns in your life or more constructive patterns? Yes. Are certain patterns better for living versus others? Yes. For example, typical addiction patterns are like alcoholism. Like, it's hard to function, right? Where am I going with this? I'm more trying to say, like, spiritually, the higher self would be like, whatever's going to get us to learn, you know, let's go work that process through. Now, at the human level, it's like, well, to actually survive as a human, there are certain patterns that likely need to be worked out quickly or moved out of the way. Like if you're a constant addict, like you're not going to be able to hold down a job. So you're gonna move into a cycle of depletion. Those of you that are in Los Angeles, our homeless population is insane and insane. Like it's big and has such a level of mental illness. I don't know. Like, well, the last time I went down to Venice Beach, I was like, oh, I haven't been down here in a while, and I was like, wow, this is just like a lot of I don't know, meth addiction, like just a lot of very intense. Like I was like, oh, this is a level of crazy that just, I don't even know how to describe. That's like when these shadow patterns are never resolved or never integrated, or addiction taken to excess. I'm going very hypothetical right now, and I'm trying to find my center space to make this a little more relevant. Okay, let me pull in the Akashic records. I'm going to have them steer me a little bit. Okay, they're telling me to play it like a video game. So the higher self is in the center and is going, we've got a lot of power. That power can be expressed through light. It can be expressed through darkness. Sometimes, you know, in our culture, that power can look like it's light, but it's actually deep shadow. For example, CEOs, not all CEOs, but a lot of CEOs of these corporations or executive members, what have you, for the large capitalist corporations might look like they're doing light things. They're running companies and they're doing, I'm not going to go into details because I don't want to dig the energy up, but they're doing really, really dark shadow work. Same with a lot of celebrities. Like, where are they drawing their power? For example, I don't know how all this is relevant for you guys right now. I'm just streaming through what Spirit wants me to talk about. For example, I had someone invite me to a celebrity party like a year ago. I'm not going to name names and stuff, but I could feel the level of power coming from it, and I went into my Akashic records and I checked in and I said, what's the contract? Whenever you step into a room with that much power, there are contracts that you sign just by attending. So I said, show me the soul contracts, and we're talking predators, like violent predators, child predators, etc. And I like, that's how the contracts were being dictated to me. So when I read the contracts spiritually, I was like, I don't care who's in that room. There's no way in hell I'm agreeing to that. And then when the person who went, he like called me the next day and he was like, I'm so happy you didn't go. They were doing a lot of coke, like with this CEO and the CEO and the celebrity. And I was like, yeah, that was not going to go well for me. Emelina out. Stormy out. It's about understanding power and where does that power come from. Most power is unconscious and it's used in an unconscious way. Why is that? Hold on, let me check in. What's the deal? Because the power that comes with consciousness is done through education. Like, as I'm speaking different concepts out for you guys, I'm giving power. Like, this power is now being activated for you in one way or another in your own consciousness. So it's like a sharing, and most people want to hoard power. They don't want to share it. Now, I don't feel like I'm sharing my power. I'm sharing source power. And because I have such a strong connection to source, there is more than enough source power. I have more than enough power. It's a constant feeding tube to me, and then I give it out in the ways that I like to. You know, on my YouTube videos and my courses and programs, one-to-one, it's like, that's where it goes. Okay. What else do I want to cover here? Akashic records, step back in. What else is important for shadow integration? For my beautiful, wonderful audience here. They're asking me to step into the territory of how the collective unconsciously creates subtle wounding patterns that you don't even know exist in your energy fields. So, and they're telling me to tell you my experience. I do not watch television. I'm a very abnormal human, okay? I do very minimal anything on social media. My social media is mostly me watching some pleading YouTube videos, posting YouTube videos. I am minimally available on Instagram. I pre-schedule most of my posts, so I have removed myself from the media in general. I don't watch TV. There are very rarely movies that I will go see. Honestly, they can't keep my attention. It would take a very, very good movie that was written very, very well to keep my attention, because I'm just like, I just know it's gonna happen. They get boring, so I'm like, this isn't real. It just doesn't feel real enough for me. Okay, where were they going with that? There's a lot of input to my psychology that I've denied, or there's a lot of like, I'm clear with my engagement with source because I don't allow mind control. Subtle mind control that is done through repetition of consistent low vibrational energy wavelengths or patterns. There are different ways of the conscious being able to hijack someone's consciousness. I'm not telling you not to watch TV or not do social media. Like, do whatever you do, okay? I'm just telling you what they're describing as what I should say my experience is, so you understand the baseline from my foundational energy through which I'm expressing. One of the reasons why I'm so clear in my authenticity and who I am is because I am not digesting collective data outside of my channel. I'm just not. Like, people bring up celebrity gossip to me all the time, and I'm just like, I literally don't know who that is, and I don't care. I'm like, unless they're sitting in front of me and they're paying me, like, I just don't care. They're like, oh my God, you haven't heard of this, or this? I'm like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't affect me. Like, I don't care what someone else is doing, especially someone else that's not related to me, that I'm not sleeping with, and that is not a client, or is not working with me in any way, shape, or form, or not part of my community. I have zero fucks to give. Like, I just don't see how it's relevant to my energy. I just don't. Okay, wait, hold on. Where were they going? They were talking about the subtle manipulation of the shadow archetype. So what they do, what the media does in one way or another, a lot of it's done through social media, a lot of it's done through television, is they create a sensitized energy. They trigger certain aspects of the unconscious of people's psychological development to be open to certain wounding patterns unconsciously by creating the same themes on repetition. And you're watching those themes through television or viewing them on social, and the level of repetition opens up the back of the shadow body. And it's not conscious. And there's some level of social cred, like other people love and accept you because you watch the same shows or the same music or whatever it is. I'm like, the music stuff is being triggered too, but I'm not well versed enough. I don't listen to really like pop or like but when I hear things, there are certain things that I will hear that I'm like, oh, wow, like I would not listen to that. That frequency is really demonic. And I can hear it. I don't have an example for that right now. Well, maybe I do, but I don't want you guys to hate me. So listen to whatever you listen to. Where do you want to take me on this? What does my audience most need to know? These patterns on repetition kind of move into the subconscious and prime you psychologically to assume you live in a world where those shows, where those themes are normal human behavior. When what's actually happening is whatever the majority of what you guys are watching is over-dramatized shadow behavior. That is probably happening in under 10% of the collective, but because it becomes broadcast, I don't have examples of shows because I don't have the collective vocabulary. I'm not watching them. I don't even know. I mean, Breaking Bad is coming to mind. Like, it's a little bit of an older example, but I'm like, maybe like Breaking Bad, like the amount of people that watched Breaking Bad, it then starts to program the collective mind to think that that is normal behavior when it's not. It's not normal. It's a very small, select part of the population, but because we get so addicted as humans to drama, to over dramatizing things that should not be given spotlight. It's gonna be taken in so many directions. I'm not saying not to make creative shows that are amazing. So I've heard with Breaking Bad, I've only seen like an episode or two, and I'm not interested in watching it. It's just like, it's giving too much airtime psychically to shit that's not real. It's only real for a small percentage of the time, but like the collective is over processing the shadow energy, which creates a sensitization. Is that a word? It sensitizes a collective like PTSD, where we think that our reality most of the time psychically is that these shadow archetypes are dominant in our energy fields. It creates a fear body, an intense pain body and fear body in the shadow, where we think that everyone, like, that this is reality. Reality is this terror mode. Now, for someone like me, reality was a terror mode, okay? But like, I've earned my salt. I've earned my right. For those of you that don't encounter reality as terror, as extraordinary abuse, like, why the hell are you psychologically abusing yourself by watching all of this drama and this shadow archetypal patterns to be programmed into your energy field? And I don't want to come off like I'm attacking, but that is how the energy is coming through. So clearly some of you needed to be called out. It's like, here's how I'll paint it. People like me that had extraordinarily traumatic upbringings don't go seeking drama shows. I'm like, I had the trauma. I lived through the trauma. I do not need to watch it on TV. And in fact, when I do watch it on TV, I go into PTSD. So I don't do it. Now, for some people, they had like good upbringings or just weren't as blown up as mine, and mine's only on the spectrum. There are people way outside of my range that had even crazier upbringings, you know? Maybe they need that to be able to relate to their shadow, because they were lucky enough to not have those deeply steeped experiences. So they need to try something on to then activate that part of their psychological development. I'm also not punishing in any way. Like, I don't want to like demonize any of this. I don't know where to go with this. This is just spirit moving through some concepts and ideas for me. And I think some of it needed to be called out energetically, whoever that was for, because it came through as a, that's not like me. That was like an energy that needed to move through. Oh, my time wise too. Okay. Where else do you guys want me to go with this? Stop thinking that any of the media you consume is reality. The real shadow integration is living your fucking life, not through your phone, not through your television, but actually living life. They're showing me different experiences I have, like riding the bus and seeing how many people are on phones, and how they interact or how they don't interact. Going into a coffee shop, you know, I don't know, going to the beach, okay? I was at the beach last week, suntanning, and there were like 4 people behind me on their towels, on their phones. And I literally was looking, I was like, that's so interesting. Like, you're at the beach. What do you need your phone for? Like, be here. Part of the shadow integration is allowing yourself to step away from the stimulant of constant shadow triggering and allow yourself to digest the shadow, acclimate to your own power, and allow your higher self to teach you how to begin to embody that power and then what to do with it. What do you do with shadow power? You speak your fucking mind. You don't worry about what people think about you. You do understand consequence. I feel like that's something that gets tied up in a different direction with shadow work. Like, I understand, and the way I've used most of my psychic gifts is to understand consequence, to understand karma. I would read ahead of time. all the possibilities. If I say this, what happens? If I do this, what happens? So that I would understand consequence. If you embody your shadow energy without attention to the consequences, you're moving into an addiction pattern. You need to understand consequence. You need to understand cause and effect when it comes to shadow integration. For people like me that were held to be quiet or to be tame or to dim their light, it's kind of the opposite. You want to like be like, I'm going to shine no matter what. I'm going to do whatever I need to do. I'm going to say what needs to be said because I'm an open channel. I'm source moving through to speak to people in whatever needs to be said in the moment, even if it's unpopular. Like, sorry, not sorry. I'm going to count on you guys having the discernment ability to know what is for you in this stream and what is not, because I'm not speaking in such a way with guardrails that's like, this is exactly this for you and this is exactly this for you. Like, I'm very wandering with my energy. So just take the pieces that resonate with you, because my audience will be kind of all over the place in a stream like this. Like, I'm like, oh, where are the majority of them? I'm like, actually, they're scattered throughout. Okay, Akashic Records, is there anything else you'd like to say, my friends? They're telling me to look at shadow integration like the melting pot of the United States. So everyone in the US, I'm sure at one point or another, has heard that the United States is a melting pot. It's like where many different cultures from around the world came to settle and be and what have you. And we're seen as the melting pot, everything getting mixed together. So what the Akashic Records are sharing is shadow integration is the melting pot of all of your experiences, all of your light, all of your opportunity, all of your trauma, all of your whatever psychosis, all of your media consumption, all of your thoughts, all of your interactions, all of your gossip, all of your celebrity chasing, celebrity gossip. This is stuff I don't follow, but it's coming through so loudly. It's like they gave me a column and it said celebrity gossip on it. And I'm like, is it really that popular? It's like, take all of that stuff and you're mixing it in the alchemy of your lower chakras and of your higher experience. Your higher self is managing this process. And then all of that together is creating a new substance alchemically. And that is your shadow and your light. That is the integration. It's the new substance. It's the new concoction. So what they're saying to me, rather than in your experience or in your mind separating all the things, what you're doing is bringing it together, digesting it spiritually, and then you're being born into a thing. And that thing is a combination of all the things you've been, all the ideas, whether they were yours or not, whether you had explicit physical experience doing something or experiencing something or being traumatized in one way or another, or you watched it on television. Your brain most of the time doesn't know the difference. Things that we rehearse or visualize continually are experienced spiritually as if they are your personal experience. So what's also coming through is, please, I don't know that I needed to say this, but the Akashic Records are saying it through me. Be very mindful of what you consume and how. When you are watching television, when you are watching shows, when you are watching movies, your mind frequently cannot discern between that being a false reality outside of yourself and your waking reality. And in one way or another, you are integrating that and taking that energy on, sprouting out either parallel versions of yourself, mental thoughts that split your consciousness, in a soul fragmentation where you perceive yourself as being less than who you actually are because of the perceptions of what you're taking in subconsciously. Like, mind your subconscious garden. Napoleon Hill's coming to mind too. I don't know who that reference is for, but there is something about Think and Grow Rich. I haven't read it in a while, but it literally like is the fertile soil of the mind is cultivated. Someone like me is highly cultivated. I'm not allowing interference into my mind. And when it comes in, I shut it down. I shut it down. Mind your own experience. Do what you want to do, experience what you want to experience, and also be very, very mindful of what you are putting into your mind. Your subconscious is what is creating your dominant reality 90% of the time. It's your subconscious, not your conscious. So what are you programming your subconscious with? dark psychopathy. Like I feel like it's the majority of television, the majority of shows. It's like psychopathic, sociopathic behavior, narcissistic behavior, victimization, emotional trauma, emotional manipulation, psychological manipulation, abuse patterns, extreme codependency. I don't know if y'all, have you watched Friends? I loved Friends growing up. And I also loved How I Met Your Mother. And I haven't watched either of those in quite a while, but like the last time I watched How I Met Your Mother, I was like, this is terrible. I used to love it. I loved it when I was going through those themes, but like, I was like, this is terrible for the consciousness. Like, these are just really bad manipulative codependency patterns. And the same with Friends. No offense. Like, I do vibe with those, but I won't watch them today. What are you programming your subconscious mind with? Because all the things you're programming your subconscious mind with are moving into your reality as if you experienced them in your childhood. Like, I'm solidly just constantly dealing with childhood trauma and resolving it. There are a lot of people that have minimal childhood trauma and replace it with collective programs. The trauma of rehearsing shows, rehearsing themes that are collective themes that are set into place by higher beings, higher, not good, like, that want to constantly trigger the subconscious shadow to be stimulated, on high alert to very toxic, very manipulative patterns, because it benefits the control patterns of the matrix. It's easier to control humans that believe in that they live in a world that's malevolent. I don't know. Okay, this was a long rant stream. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. If there was something that you want to hear more about, let me know. If you want me to expand on any of these topics. What else do I want to say? I don't know. That's where I'm at right now. Okay, Akashic Records, is there anything else you wanted to part ways with here? And then I'm going to jump in and read your comments. They're showing me the shadow integration, like we're tying the laces together. So they're showing me a Converse shoe. And they're like, one lace is light, the other lace is shadow. And we're just like tying our shoelace together and putting our shoes on. Like, here we are as human. You know, we do it all. We're here with love. We're here with support. We're also here to be powerful, unstoppable beings. That's what I got for you. Anyway, if you want to jump in with me Sunday, and do the divine protection ceremony, shamanic ceremony, I'm going to be doing that. I'm very excited for it. There's always a channeled segment I'll be channeling in the Akashic Records. And then there will be guided meditations and activations where I will be taking you through energy work and clearing. The code at checkout is healing, and you can find all the info for that in the description below. Oh, I only got a couple comments in here. Okay, great. Awaken love for yourself. And Linda, hello. Okay, good to see you guys in here. I hope you have a wonderful day. If there's any questions you have about shadow integration, let me know, because I'm new to talking about this publicly. So ask me the things, and I will cover whatever spirit wants me to cover. That's what I got. From Brazil. Oh my gosh, how exciting. From Los Angeles. Hello. Lots of love for you. Alrighty, thank you for joining me. I will see you guys soon. Peace.